Yo, 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 everyone. This is Chilly&Ray here.
Heyo.
We're going over chapters 3 and 4 of Fourth Wing today. Last week, whenever it was last recorded, last episode, we ended off with Jack Barlow wanting to kill Violet.
As he does throughout a lot of the book.
It's very Jack branded, is it not?
It really is.
I don't know if this, I feel like this just adds to my car, which I named Jackass, or Jack for short.
Yeah. Yeah.
It fits the vibe, doesn't it?
A little bit.
So, I have the best worst take ever. Immediately at the start of chapter 3, I texted Ray and went, "You're going to hate me."
Yeah.
Did you read that text message?
Let me check. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm also pretty sure I forgot what it was because I have the memory of a rock.
It was also like at midnight or something.
What day was that?
Like literally, I think it was last night or like 2 nights ago or something.
Oh, yeah, I did read that text, but you didn't tell me why I was gonna hate you.
Yeah, because I want you to get it on recording. But yeah, so you have Jack and Violet at standoff. Violet goes, "Okay, I'm not going to castrate him." He went, "You're still dead." Vine, her sassy attitude that I do love, is like, he's just going to have to get in line. I'm pretty certain Xaden's going to kill me first.
Yeah.
And so Jack promptly goes up to her, and she's like, "He's scenting me like a fucking dog." And he scoffs and walks away. And this is when because I went, "You know what this screams? Screams." And I actually genuinely went like a fanfic or something. Enemies to lovers.
No. Absolutely not. No. Okay. If there's anything I love, if there's any trope that gets me up in the morning, it's enemies to lovers. No. Absolutely not.
Picture this. Hot man wanting you dead, and you have him by the balls threatening to castrate him. You let him go, and he's like, "You're still dead," and then he smells you and walks off.
This is different, because Jack is a dweeb. It only works if it's like, we already get enemies to lovers. We get Xaden. Spoiler alert. Like, we don't need Jack. Jack is just an ass. Like, he has zero redeeming qualities. Like, he's a walking red flag. Absolutely not. No.
You know, in fanfic verse. But yeah, no, Jack is straight up the epitome of frat bro, military bro. You weak, you die.
He's actually just the worst. And how I picture him is just icky. And yeah, hard no.
I didn't even write a description down on here at all for Jack. I have to go find that, see if we are even given a description for him besides him being an ass. For some reason, I'm picturing him as a redhead.
He's like a dirty blonde or like a strawberry blonde. I don't know. Don't quote me.
We're just going to go ahead and put imaginary beef with gingers on here. Yeah. And then Court can come on and kill us.
Oh my
gosh. But yeah, that was my hot take of where 90% of the fandom will be like, absolutely the hell not. Get out of here.
That's a hard no there, pal. Like,
something you mentioned last time, which I always forget because it's not exactly mentioned, but Violet does make a comment about it, is how she crossed the parapet and all this, and then all of a sudden the stormy weather starts easing up. And she was like, "What the hell?" She thinks about it a little bit. And I'm like, did her mother really control the weather just to be that way?
Yeah, literally her mom had the option to make this safer for her kid to, like, walk across to a place that she is, at this point, probably going to just immediately die. But instead, she's like, I will cause this crazy storm so my child can maybe die walking across. But, like, if she makes it across, good on her. And I'm like, that is bad parenting. Although, all of it's kind of bad parenting. So, to each their own.
She ain't winning Mother of the Year at the moment.
No.
But yeah, I was just like that's just absolutely insane. I think my first time reading it, I did not pick up on it whatsoever, and I just was like, "Oh, Violet has beef with the universe, and I too have beef with the universe."
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and then so apparently she goes and she meets up with Dane and Riri.
Rhiannon.
I'm calling her Riri.
Fair enough.
I can't English, I can't name. She gets Riri.
It's Riri.
Girl needs a nickname.
I like her name. I think it's fun.
It's a good name. It's a great name. But I like names to be like, especially like good friends, just to be a short, quick name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be calling somebody Elizabeth. They're going to get called Elle or Lizzie or anything else.
Or F.
What also I thought was hilarious is when we meet up with Dane, is I don't know how I had him pictured in my head, but they go through and make a comic going, he has a beard and a scar on like near his beard. And I was like, bro has a beard?
Still don't picture him with a beard.
I never once pictured him with a beard.
Yeah, like it's specifically mentioned that he has a beard, and I no. In my head, he doesn't, nor will he ever have a beard.
He's like a rule follower. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't scream beard.
Rule followers can't have beards.
It's the Roman in me, you know? I learned too much ancient Roman culture where only barbarians had beards. But yeah, I like went throughout my way to make a comment on it because I was like, bro, beard, what? And he's only like 21 or 22.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still 21 because he's just a second year, so.
I will not get into too much spoilers, but the first time not spoilers at all. First time I read through, reading again, I realized he's only been apart from Violet for 1 year. They've only been separated for 1 year. Yet the way Violet acts later on, I would have expected it to have been longer.
Yeah. It feels like it should have been longer, but it's been a year.
Wild stuff. But yeah, she meets up Dane. Dane instantly goes, you, me, over here in this hiding corner area, and promptly takes over and starts instructing Violet, who is dying from her knee injury.
Which is nice, but also, like, the underlying, like, him being like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I didn't get a choice. Like, if she got a choice, she wouldn't be there.
Though, to be fair, the little bit we know of Violet's personality, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought it was funny because the way they act about Violet and is described and everything is like, oh yeah, she's gone through so much pain and she's dealt with all this stuff. And I find it interesting. She doesn't think about the adrenaline or anything that's Dane going through going, put your head between your knees. It's the adrenaline, like all this and like helping her out.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I felt like she would have been already injured this bad to have such a reaction.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so I was like, that little bit was a little weird for me. And of course, we have Riri come in and establish that they're friends, and she has Violet's back and everything. And she's like one of my favorite characters. We don't get much of her though in the beginning chapters.
Yeah, not yet. She is one of my favorites though.
Of course, she asks Violet, like, who's this? And Violet's like, he's one of my oldest friends. And basically has her shoot off to go tell whoever to go put her and Violet in his quadrant because he's a squad leader. Woo!
Ooh, fancy pants.
And we get some more little information of pretty much establishing, yeah, Dane's her oldest friend. They've known each other since they were children. He was there for her when her brother died and when her sister went off to Dragon's Riding Quadrant, whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to say school, but it's not really a school.
I mean, it's a college. It's a dragon riding college.
Even calling it a college seems a little weird. It's more like military school or just military. Dragon riding military. I don't know.
Yeah. Like as it's described in the beginning, a dragon riding military college.
Yeah. It feels weird calling it a college. Like it's like you ran off to join the military and then you're like, I'm joining military college.
It's like 3 years of basic training.
It's like it's divergent. It's a frat bro mixed military of yeah, you either survive or you don't. Have fun. You pick this.
Except for her, she didn't pick this.
Yeah, fair. So we kind of get like background drop between those two, and get like more kind of like, oh, who's this person? So it's kind of nice getting that little bit. At the same time, it's kind of weird getting that little bit as you read further on.
Yeah.
It's also weird too, is what I find what next happens is also weird to me, is where Dane goes and takes Violet, and it's like, okay, we need to get your knee fixed. Let's go up to my room that's up the stairs over this way.
Yeah, homegirl's got an injured knee, and he says, let's climb these stairs to go to my room. As if that's not suspicious.
Which they even established while they're going there, that she's not supposed to be there at all. And they like kind of do this banter thing, which is cute. But I like Violet's humor and everything. Like, she has to go up these stairs. I don't think like at least one of the sides doesn't have railing. Her knee's injured. And he's like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to be here whatsoever. So if we get caught, I'm just going to say lust overcame me. And she's like, I'll add some fake moans.
Her being like, I'll throw in some fake moaning once we get into your room if that'll help. I'm like, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's my type of humor. It's shit I would say, and then I'd be like, why did I say that? And it's funny too, because they get up there and it's not like he has the wraps. He looks at her and goes, do you have wraps? And she's like, yeah. And she's the one wrapping her knee.
Yeah, so I mean, like, at least it provides her some sort of like privacy so that the other like first year cadets don't see this and pin her as a target, but like also he offered no help, really.
Not really at all. He literally went, I'm just gonna snatch you, drag you to my room, which you're not supposed to be there. Be like, you got wraps? And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, skims out of her pants, starts wrapping her knee, puts her pants back on, and just thinks to herself, yeah, Dane's seen it all before. And I'm like, you couldn't have done that in your secret little corner hidden away from most people's view?
For real.
This seems unnecessary. And then, of course, we find later on, as you read, it's Dane's plot to try and save his friend, and she ain't having it. What did you think of their little fun? I guess it's like an argument, essentially. He's trying to save her and have a savior complex, and she's like, I ain't weak.
He's trying to save her, which, like, I can see how he thinks it's a good idea, but she explained to him that she can't just leave, like, and the fact that, like, the thing that really irks me about this conversation is whenever they're going back and forth and arguing about it, and he's so insistent on they can make it work, they can sneak her out, but she's telling him that she can't, and it takes her telling him that Mira couldn't change her mom's mind on this for him to like calm down and believe her. And that, like, this is supposed to be your oldest friend. If they told you that their mom said this and it's not gonna change, believe her. Don't make her be like, yeah, Mira couldn't even change her mind, for you to like back off a little bit, you know?
You got a point there. For me, in my brain, when I went through and I was reading it, it was kind of he was like, nah, we it's like, you got here. We can now get you out of here. And she kind of went on her little tirade before finally straight up being like, no, you don't understand. My mom straight up, no, Mira couldn't change her mind either. Like, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, I passed this part. It's I either come out here Dragon Rider or dead. There's no escaping to the scribe. She will drag my ass back here. And then he essentially went through and was like, oh, crap. We'll figure something out.
Which, like, figure something out for him basically just means he's gonna nonstop keep trying to get her out. Like, because that's the only solution that he sees.
That's the part that's like a little bit more spoiler later in the story, yeah. Is he just doesn't ever drop it. which is the annoying part, where I find it also annoying Violet's perspective on it too, because they're both, he has a full-blown savior kind of complex going a little bit, but also from his standpoint, he's known her since they were like 6, and he's been there helping her like the whole time and hanging out and all this and seeing her go through it all. And it's like, he's already been there a year. He's seen people died, and he's trying his best not to see his longtime oldest friend die. She has these joint, like, she should not be here at all, especially when it's a volunteer thing, and she didn't volunteer. Her mother volunteered her.
She got voluntold.
Voluntold. And so I also find it irritating from Violet's point, where she's just straight up like, you think I'm weak, and she has the Chihuahua attitude full blown, which I've now realized it's the short person attitude, but it has nothing to do with her being short. It's her own insecurities of being chronically ill. And that's what I think annoys me a little bit, is her and her insecurities with her being chronically ill and like somehow placing it on everyone else. They'll be like, you have these problems. It's a fact. She has these problems. And then she's like, you think I'm weak. And it's like, babe, your joints. It's a fact. Your joints have issues.
There's a difference between them just being mean, thinking you're weak, and part of it being a fact that your joints aren't good. Like, you know this.
I think that's what gets me annoyed with Violet probably the most, especially in the beginning.
It just takes her so long to, like, overcome it, and she just kind of, like, snaps back at everyone, and I'm like, girl, you know this. You've lived with this. So
not new.
It's not new. And the people who are commenting about it are people who have known you basically your entire life. Some of which have known you your entire life. Your mom, your sister, they're the ones commenting on it. Dane's known her for the majority of her life. Like, it's not new people in her life that are commenting on this, but she's still just, like, clapping back and, like, getting snarky about it. And I'm like, girl, you know that this is a thing.
It's wild. So we have that lovely thing before they move on. In which case, then they go through and go have their, ceremony?
Call it a ceremony.
I was like, I'm not sure what they call it or consider it, but basically they all round up together, and you have freaking, what's his name? It's the scribe, I believe. What was it? Captain Fitzgibbons, who's a scribe who knows Violet and sees Violet and goes, huh?
Yeah. He's like, what are you doing here?
And so he's the one that goes through and starts reading the death count. And so I went through and I attempted to do math for it because I was curious. Because Violet instantly does it in her head. They go through and they're like, oh yeah, there's 67 people totally dead. 301 of you have survived. And Violet instantly went, oh, that's almost 20%. Usually it's only 15% that died. And so I went through, it's 18% people who died. So it went up 3%. There's 12 more people dead than there should be, based on the average.
Also, as someone who is chronically bad at math, she was like, oh, that's like 20%. And I was like, yeah, probably. Like, sure, that sounds right.
I was curious if math actually happened or not. And I was like, math happened. I'm so bad at percentages in my head, so there's tricks and ways to do it. So you've been like, oh, what's 15% of like 400 or something? And I'm like, I can't do that in my head.
Yeah, not a clue. Yeah, math never been my strong suit. Never will be.
But yeah, so what I thought was crazy, because I think the first time I read it, and just based off the vibes of the book and even freaking TikTok, is the parapet for only having a 15% death rate. When I first read it, I read it as 50, like half the people died, and I was like, how are half the people dying on this, especially on a normal freaking sunny day? So 15% makes a lot more sense now, but at the same time, having freaking, having 67 people dead, which is 12 more dead than average with rain. Okay, fair enough. Which if they had an average normally, it would have been only 55 people dead for their group. It still seems kind of wild having 55 people die on that, because like you have once in a while someone die on the stairs, and then you have them walking across, which is if you slip and fall or somebody throws you off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or like you have someone like Jack Barlow and you get thrown off.
And so the only thing that could come into my mind is you either have people completely paralyzed with fear, and so they essentially get pushed off because people need to keep moving, paralyzed with fear, and they slip and fall or whatever happens because of their own fear in that regards. But I want to believe the majority of these people dying is essentially from other people, because everyone there is pretty much labeled hey, if you're a writer, you're a narcissistic asshole.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe, where they just think that they're better than everyone else.
They go, oh, you're scared of heights? You're not going to make it then. And they go, yoink, yeet. So I pondered on that one for a little bit, because I was like, kind of wild. And this is coming from me, who I have an insane fear of heights. Stairs freak me out.
I feel like I grew up with such a big fear of heights, and like, my fear of heights isn't as bad anymore. Like, it's not good. I skydived, which was honestly epic. It was great. And I would do it again. But I also feel like that experience, you don't really see the ground. So I don't feel like it's the same.
Just casualing skydiving, absolutely insane.
It was so much fun. And it was something I said I would never do. And then I did it. And I'd go again. I'd go over a prettier place than like my hometown, because it was convenient, but it wasn't pretty.
It was pretty because it was your first experience.
I don't think you've ever seen my hometown. It wasn't pretty.
I've seen your hometown.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's not a pretty place. Oh yeah, you have.
For the con.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's because it's part of the things where I go through and I erase it from my brain.
Trauma blocking?
Just a little bit. And so I thought that was interesting. And then they go through and they talk about how the squadrons and stuff works, which was kind of interesting, which is essentially that there's 4 wings, and in each wing, 3 sections, and each section has 3 squads. In which case, we are told already that Dane is a squad leader. It's also interesting, too. So that basically means, if I did this correctly, who knows if I did this correctly, because it was like 1 a.m, that there's a total of 9 squads per wing, and there's a total of 12 sections in total. So it's like a solid little military setup. And then the other thing that's interesting, because they go through and they start naming, I don't think I wrote it down, but they go through and they start like naming like the squadrons. Oh yeah, it's at the end of this one. End of chapter 3, that they go through and they're like 2nd squad, flame section, 2nd wing. And so they kind of mention things where you get like not Talon, maybe Talon? No, claws and tail. And so it sounds like they use like it's claws, tail, or flame kind of thing. And then it's like numbers. It's like, are you 1st wing, 2nd, whatever. And so it's really funny because Violet, very dramatic. I don't know if you've picked up on that. She's so dramatic.
She's so dramatic in everything.
It's almost painful how dramatic she is, and I love dramatic. Especially if it's melodramatic. So she's, of course, in Dane's squad, and Dane all of a sudden gets switched from the 2nd wing to 4th wing, which we find out that's Xaden's doing. He's the leader of the 4th wing. And, of course, Violet being Violet, she's like, I'm dead. Xaden did this to kill me. And I'm like, girl, you've barely talked with this man.
Yeah, you've said 2 sentences to him. And those sentences were, yeah, this is who I am. You killed my brother. Well, not him directly, but like, his family killed my brother.
Luke, your father, he killed my brother. We're even.
Bit of a wonky Star Wars reference there, but, you know, got the gist.
I love butchering references so bad.
I was like, it was somewhere. A little bit of all over the place.
Anyway, but yeah, they literally just have you're that girl. And she's like, your father killed my brother. And he's like, your mother killed my father. And she's like, we're even now. And he's like, no.
She's like, touche. You got me there.
They just stare at each other. And then she's like, "You gonna kill me?" And he looks at her, and then Dylan promptly, R.I.P. Dylan, falls to his death. And he's like, "I don't think I'm gonna have to do that." You like straight up asked him, like, "You gonna kill me?" And he literally was like, "I'm not gonna waste the energy on that." Which is absolutely hilarious. I think actually Xaden's my favorite character in the whole book.
He's probably my second favorite. No. He's probably tied for second. For me, my number one favorite is a character we haven't met yet in the book. And then, actually, so is my other one that's tied for second. So.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to a lot yet. I say, as I actually haven't brought up the character count yet. Might as well bring that up now. So as we read along, I'll adjust my characters, but at the moment, I think Xaden's my favorite. Riri will be second at the moment. I just like Xaden's freaking remarks. Bro literally doesn't have to do anything, and Violet freaks out. But yeah, no, I was going through and writing down the characters that as we were going along. And at the end of chapter 4, we ended up, I believe, with, if I counted correctly, it was like, I wrote it down. So yeah, we end up with 30 names total of whether it's a god, a person, or a dragon. We end up with essentially 30 people, characters, whatever, mentioned. And then we have an additional 5 that were dead off screen. We don't meet them. They're just named in the roll call of dead people.
That's a lot of names. That's a lot of names.
So many. And it's like 2 of them are dragons, which we meet one of the dragons. Vaguely, sort of. They mention her after the fact. But yeah, we get 2 dragon names who we don't even meet. A lot of the names are people, like, you don't even meet, or they briefly are met. And then you get, like, 3 mentions of gods. No religion talk. Nothing about the religion. You just kind of get Violet randomly going, "Oh my gosh, this person looks like the queen of the gods." Or praising the death god, or her praying for the god of luck. So it's kind of an interesting, like, Greek Roman vibe. And then we get some more, like, I'm not exactly lore drop, but we get more information about dragons at the end, which pretty much just reiterates dragons don't like people. They need people to oh yeah, that was a question I actually wrote down. Was pretty much, why do dragons and humans have a relationship kind of thing? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, just to, like, build the wards to protect the area that they're in, which is called the Vale, and keep it safe from, like, griffins and all of them. I believe that's all, actually.
They need the puny humans for the signet abilities, because when you bond with a dragon, you get magical abilities, pretty much. And some of those abilities, I think it's some of those abilities are the ones that are, like, able to mess with the wards that are the protection fields. I forget how it works. We get into that way later in the series. It's irrelevant now. You get this dropped on us, and it's, like, not touched again for, like, ever. But yeah, they're protecting the Vale, and then the dragons have their own, like, home over there too that the humans don't have access to, and it's all protecting from the griffins and enemies outside. You know what's interesting? Speaking of the dragons and stuff, I want to know how many times they have it mentioned or written in this book, this quote, which you'll see, like, all over TikTok. "A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead."
Yeah, everywhere.
I was like, I feel like we're only 4 chapters into it, and it's already been mentioned, like, twice. It's wild. TikTok edits, freaking everyone uses that quote everywhere.
Yeah, that quote really is everywhere.
Everywhere. To continue on, we get in chapter 4, which I have a lot less to talk about in chapter 4. It's more, I guess, world building dropping a little bit, and Violet being a drama queen.
Being incredibly dramatic.
Like, I love me drama, as I've stated, but oh my gosh. I think the part that bugs me with her drama is they have her established to be this smart character. When she comes to her dramatic self, it's like it lacks thinking, is the best way to describe it. She sees Xaden, and it's just like, oh, die.
Yeah, she just kind of, like, gets really, like, singularly minded on, like, tiny details. And I'm like, girl, think about the big picture. All right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so in the 4th chapter, we get into more of how the college is kind of set up, at least for the first years, in which you have to pass the parapet just to become a first year. Was it like a candidate?
Yeah, cadet.
Cadet, there we go. And then they go through and they start essentially training, sparring, exercising in the gym. Then they do battle briefs. They kind of do all this like prep stuff. And then essentially their physical exam that they have to pass is the gauntlet, essentially a deadly obstacle course.
A vertical obstacle course.
Once again, the heights.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, if you are deathly afraid of heights, I don't know if flying on the back of a dragon is for you.
I feel like you shouldn't have volunteered in the first place. Yeah, I believe that the gauntlet, correct me if I'm wrong, was supposed to be testing if they can even, like, climb up a dragon.
I feel like it's got so many different parts to it, but I feel like that's the, like, main part for it.
Okay. And then after you pass that, then you go and present yourself to the dragons, because then the dragons can get a look at you and decide if they want you or not. And then you have the threshing, which is where the dragons actually pick you or not. And as they've mentioned, if you don't get picked, you can have the option of going through first year all over again, which we then meet Sawyer, who's a repeat, which brings up a lot of questions on my part. They tell us there's I think Dane and his little Violet, you're gonna die here speech mentions that there's 34 repeats. I have so many, like, how many times can you repeat before they're like, get lost?
A great question. I feel like by your 3rd time, the dragons are probably just gonna kill you. Because I feel like I don't know, I feel like you're not gonna make it through like 3 different times.
I feel like if you made it through 3 different times, the dragon would have already picked you. You know?
Yeah, I like to think so, but like, I don't know.
So they don't really explain too much, just that you get the option to repeat or not. And then I'm thinking if you don't repeat, then you get the option to go to like the infantry or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which, if we've already forgotten, because they're like mentioned a few times and that's it, that brings up other questions. We'll backtrack there in a second, because I know the answer to it yet, but we're not there in the story yet. Is that you have the infantry, you have the scribes, and you have the healers. My first time reading this through and Violet getting injured and just wrapping her like knee and stuff, I'm like, you're telling me they have special abilities and stuff, but they don't freaking have a clinic? That was my reaction when I was first reading.
I mean, that's fair. Like, you're in this place that people are getting injured on the daily, and you're not going to have a clinic? She doesn't want to look weak. People will think she's weak.
My favorite part about this, too, is her whole weak obsession thing. Let's pretend she doesn't have that issue. She's still 5'0". Everyone's going to look at her and think she's weak just because she's 5'0".
Nothing against my short people, but she's like 5'0" and like super thin.
It's not helping. We get a little bit on how the structure of what's to come goes as. And then we have, once again, Dane and his, like, I'm just like, hey, Violet, come over here to this area that's kind of hidden, kind of not. Like, it's weird because he's like, yeah, like, we'll go over here. It's away from people's eyes. But by the way, this place is going to be flooded with people in, like, 4 minutes. But we shouldn't be seen. And I'm like, Dane, are you stupid?
He's a little bit dumb, but I also hate him a lot, so.
I like him, but his choices, which is why I love Xaden so much. We'll get there, but Xaden and Violet are over there kind of chit-chatting. He's checking in with Violet and all that stuff.
Dane and Violet.
You're right, sorry. Dane and Violet, word vomit. It's because I have Xaden written in my notes. It's like, I don't have Dane written. I just reference him. But yeah, so they're snickering in the corner, checking up. And then Violet goes to leave, and her Xaden senses tingle, and she's like, huh? Turns around, sees Xaden upstairs watching her.
Not her Zayden senses.
Oh yeah, this girl has Zayden senses because Dane freaking walks out next going, "What the hell's your problem?" And then she's like, and he was like, "Oh shit." And it's like, you're telling me, Dane. Oh yeah, we haven't even mentioned that part. I'll backtrack to that in a sec. Tell me, Dane, who's already been there a year, connected with a dragon, and now we're at backtrack. He informs us that his magic ability from his dragon, his signet, is he can, if he has his hands on somebody, he can see their most recent memories. So he's like destined for like the information people. You're telling me that he did not pay attention to who was around, and Violet instantly walks out and goes, "Zayden senses tingling. Look, it's Zayden."
All I'm imagining is like her spidey senses. And, like, specifically, like, with the animation where you have, like, the, like, wavies around someone whenever they have their spidey senses.
It's exactly, it says spidey senses, it's Zayden senses, because I think it only works with Zayden.
Yeah.
She promptly freaks out over it, and it's really funny because her and Dane were just chatting, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to be careful for battle brief." And she's like, "History class? He's not going to kill me in history class. Like, be real, Dane." And it's like, yeah, he needs to abide by the rules. He can't just happen. She then takes 3 steps, sees him, and then goes, "Oh, he's going to kill me right here, where place is about to be flooded with people." Make it make sense.
Although, like, he could breathe a little harder than normal, and she would think he's going to kill her. He could blink one too many times.
Morse code. Blink and Morse code. But yeah, so you have that whole thing, and it's even funnier because of what Zayden does next to seeing Dane walk out behind her. He literally looks at them, and it's pretty much is just like, y'all aren't being very subtle here.
Yeah, which I do like that he did that, just because, like, sassy, here for it. But also, like, he's not wrong.
He's, like, straight up, so far all he's done is stated facts to Violet's face, and Violet's just like, "He's going to kill me," and I'm like, girl, he's giving you advice at this point.
Yeah.
He literally looked at Dane and went, "Dane, you're better than this. What the hell? You're a squad leader. You've been trained. Why are you failing at this? Like, if y'all are going to be sneaky, actually be sneaky."
Yeah.
It's just like Zayden disappointment. That's why Zayden's my favorite character up to this point, is he literally just is stating pretty much facts and advice, and Violet just freaks out and is just like, "He's going to kill me." And I'm like, what action has he done that makes you believe that besides the "your mother killed my father"?
Yeah. And, like, just Mira telling her that he's gonna kill her.
Oh, and then Dane also being like, "Yeah, everybody knows he wants you dead."
Yeah. People need to quit telling her that he wants her dead, because while it's partially true, it's making her really paranoid.
So paranoid. And it's funny, just for the fact of, like, nothing's, like, action-wise, he hasn't done anything besides throw her under his wing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, keep your enemies close. Doesn't necessarily mean he was, like, going to instantly off you. We've already established here that you have joint issues, you're short, you didn't want to be here, the death rate is insanely high, and even if the death rate isn't insanely high, dragons aren't bonding with people. Like, he has no reason to go out of his way to kill her.
Yeah, he literally doesn't. Like, he's in such a high position at the moment that he genuinely doesn't really care about her at all.
Like, if you also think about it too, he's labeled as a traitor's son. People don't want him to be there. He's managed to claw his way up to a respectable position. Why would he, like, jeopardize that trying to kill a first year?
Like, he knows that if he were to break the rules and kill her, they don't do trials. They just execute. They're a kill now, ask questions later bunch, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be executed. Like, it's not worth it to him.
Oh yeah, with how this is all set up and everything, the fact they killed all the traitors involved and they went and were like branded all the children of the traitors. Like, I imagine they're all just waiting for them to just screw up like the tiniest amount just to get a reason to kill them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's just funny. First time reading it through, I was just the whole time just like, he hasn't actually physically done anything. Bro can say whatever you want, but he hasn't done anything. Jack's actually done something and said something.
I think she shouldn't have let him off the parapet. Or at least, like, taken a ball.
Like, if he's already, like, wants you dead, why not just castrate him?
Yeah, like, he already hates you so much. You might as well have just done that anyway. Like, it's not gonna change that.
Who knows? Maybe that might have actually, you know, it might have been not a sign of weakness for him. He might have actually been like, oh, that's kind of hot.
Might have actually respected her at all.
And then we could have had the Jack Violet ship.
No, absolutely not. We are not having Jack Violet ship in this household.
I love this moment too with Xaden. He's the one who has to give like kind of the rah-rah welcome speech to the new people. And he promptly does that. He's like, "Oh yeah, y'all got to be like high as Cloud9 on succeeding and getting here. You're like the best of the best, whatever kind of rah thing." Just to then have the dragons show up, scare them all shitless, and have his, which is a blue one, which I don't even know how to pronounce his freaking dragon's name.
Sigale.
Noted. Show up behind him, scare them all. Promptly, any who run got burnt to a crisp by a dragon.
Yeah. So in this part, first off, like, don't run. Running makes you an instant target. But also, I really love the incorporation of, like, how the person standing in front of Violet just pisses himself. Like, that, not needed in the book. However, I love it.
Thought that was a little bit more appropriate needed thing to show just how terrified everyone was. That people were either frozen in place, literally pissed themselves from how scared they were. Some were so scared that they took off running. What kills me is after one took off running and then got promptly incinerated was the fact that then other people started running after the fact. And then after that settles down, Xaden's like, yeah, you probably don't so happy now or whatever. He was like, good, because people die here. It's pretty much kind of a like, stop being happy. Everyone's going to die. Okay, maybe not everyone, but
majority. They're like, half of you will make it to threshing, basically.
Oh yeah, here's a quote from him. Because you're not untouchable or special to them, pointing to the dragons. To them, you're just the prey. So pretty much he was like, this isn't a fun summer camp. He's like, pretty much a look around you. Oh my gosh. Sorry. This reminds me of my college class.
Oh no.
So more lore drop. I was in chemical engineering. My first class that was official in chemical engineering. The dean shows up and was like, look around you. Not all of y'all are going to make it to graduation. Hard degree.
Kind of brutal. Like,
he literally did that. And then at the graduation ceremony, I don't know if it was the same guy. I can't remember. But once again, there was kind of a, like, only, like, not all, like, everyone made it here. And you're so smart. You're, like, the best of best. Chemical engineering's the hardest degree on campus. And rah. And then was, like, showing all these statistics of basically giving everyone in chemical engineering an egotistical complex.
Yours told you that your first day, and it was like my first class of my senior year of my undergrad, and they were like, I don't know why you're in here. You're never gonna find a job in this. And I was like, wow, thanks. And then he was like, but did I mention whenever I worked on this? And I'm like, wow, thanks, man. Which, like, also, he doesn't work at the university anymore, because I was talking to someone about him, and they're like, who are you talking about?
Damn.
So I don't know if he left of his own accord or what, but yeah, he's not there anymore. which is good because he gave really horrible pep talks.
So, I just now realized I got a Xaden pep talk ages ago.
Yeah, before he even existed.
Before he existed. Once again, what's also funny with his pep talk little thing is he goes on and he's like, it doesn't matter who you are. Dragons kill whoever, pretty much. And he was like, even this king's second son died here. And it's like, once again, just some like random lore dropping. And we're just like, who's this king? They have kings? What kingdom? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like Violet, when she's crossing the parapet, she just starts reciting all this facts off the top of her head, which works for character building and dropping like world building information, but none of it's relevant whatsoever to anyone at this moment. And so I'm just like, are we just going to get this all repeated again later, or whenever it becomes relevant, am I going to have to come all the way back here to then describe all the lore for everybody? You know?
It do be like that.
And then at the beginning of chapter 4, that little quote, little thing, was pretty much mentioning about the sparring ring, because pretty much dragons won't pick somebody who can't defend themselves. So it's kind of like a prelude to be like, hey, we're going to be talking about the sparring and what goes on once you're actually a first year. I guess technically they're not first years yet, because they have to survive threshing. Whatever. They're cadets.
First years?
Okay, they are first years still considered.
Yeah, because they have to pass threshing to become a second year.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because threshing is, like, at the end of their first year, I think.
Okay. For some reason, my brain, it was like threshing was like the end of, like, I don't know, a semester or something. And then the other half was them getting used to the dragon.
That might be it. I don't know exactly when threshing is, but I know it's either, like, at the end of the semester or end of their first year.
I think end of their first year might make more sense, because I know the gauntlets, they have like 2 or 3 months to get prepped for the gauntlet. You might be right.
Yeah, that feels right.
That makes more sense. Shout out to another thing of freaking Violet having insecurity issues and being stupid. Once again, I think her and Dane were talking, one of their talks, and he's like, just chop off your hair. And she's like, you know, the white will still appear even if I chop my hair off. And he's like, no, like every woman does that here because it's the smarter thing to do with the sparring.
It's a safety hazard.
Yep. And she's like, nope, I'm keeping my hair long. And I'm like, girl, you already have joint issues. You're going to tell me that you're going to go through and do your hair every freaking morning?
She has to have, like, main character syndrome, which is where they have hair that stands out.
Got a point there. But she would have hair that stands out even with it short.
Yeah. I feel like not as much, because, like, if everyone else's hair is short, her having long hair kind of doubles that.
So I was just like, me thinking about it, and just if she has joint issues, that would be her fingers too. And she would have to go through braid her hair while wrapping it around her head and pinning it. And I'm like, that's so much. That, like, even if you only did it like freaking every other day or something and you left it alone, that's still such a stupid thing. Stupid. Like, sparring, like, you have your hair, like, if you have your hair all pinned up and everything, sure, but you would have to do it in the morning or whenever and take the time to do that. I get tired just doing a normal braid.
I get tired of doing my hair every day, and my hair is short.
Like, short. That's why freaking most women I hear go through and they get their hair chopped off, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier.
Like, yeah, long hair is such a hassle.
It's just how it is. So it's like another little thing that Violet does, and I'm just like, why? And the answer is because she has issues. And I got issues too, but dang, girl. Oh, you know what? I haven't mentioned this yet. We haven't mentioned, and someone's probably screaming if they're listening to this. There's got to be somebody who listens to this at some point and screams over characters that we have ignored.
Who are we forgetting about?
Because they're just briefly mentioned at the moment. So shout out to last time when we just ignored Zayden. This time we ignored, I'm going to butcher his name, and it's short, Rydok?
Riddick, my man. I love him. He's tied for second in my favorite characters.
Remember, they're all clustered together, and Dane's talking and everything. He's just referenced as a smartass. And then I forget whatever they're chit-chatting and stuff, and he goes, better than being dead, the smartass says. And then it's noted that his name is Riddick. You just pretty much he's just labeled as a smartass talking for like 2 lines.
I love him. My second favorite, tied with Zayden.
Him and Sawyer become more important as we go on in the story, but just now it's funny because they're like, have 2 lines and they get name dropped and that's it. And so they're just among like the freaking 30 people that have just been name dropped with very little context.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Sawyer kind of, if anyone asked me any information about Sawyer, I don't think I could give it because he just kind of fades into the back for me. Like, I know that he has a rebellion relic, and I think that's all I know about him. Like, that's all like, he just kind of blends in with everyone else. I love Riddick. He's so sassy and so funny throughout the entire book and, like, throughout the entire series so far. I love him. He's just really great comedic relief.
What's also really funny about this, too, is there's been other characters that you get to know later on that haven't been named yet, but they just are like in the background. So like a chick with pink hair, she shows up later. It's just kind of funny. But it's weird because the author just like the way she goes about describing things or just dropping things by. It's just like, oh, I'm just going to throw this here. And it's like, why? Like, why? Like, the freaking Dane, like, all of a sudden, I forget why, but he brings up Amber Mavis, and you basically get hinted at that like, he had a thing for her in his first year, and she's the wing leader for 3rd Wing, and it's just like, why bring her up here and now just to be like, he had a crush his first year, and then drop it, and that won't be brought up again till, like, several chapters down the line. It's like, it's unnecessary.
I feel like it kind of, like, sets some things up, but other times it just feels a little out of place.
Just a little bit. So that's pretty much, I don't think, let me look, see if there's anything else I wanted to chit-chat about. Of course, for our lovely viewers, we actually talked about Zayden for a decent amount this time instead of being like, who's Zayden? Oh, we forgot about him. Instead, we did it to Riddick.
Yeah, I do like Riddick. I didn't realize that we met Riddick in chapter 4.
Yeah, he's like I said, it's a freaking just like
very quick.
And so what's also funny about that is I stared at his name longer and went, is this actually somebody's real name in real life? Because it looks like somebody decided to write ridiculous shorthand. And I'm like, the smartass is named Ridiculous, essentially.
I didn't notice that until now, and I will never be able to unsee that.
Oh, Zach, how could you?
I'm back again. I don't know why it keeps kicking me.
It's Zach the cat. He attacks.
Because he's just sleeping next to my laptop now. He's not even on it.
Weird. Maybe it's my laptop. No, you know who it is?
It's Jared.
Yes, Jared, the house ghost.
Yeah.
Not even going to explain that one. We just leave it there.
That's all we need to mention.
Everyone can wonder who comes across this and be like, Jared, the house ghost? And I'm like, Jared, the house ghost.
Jared, the house ghost.
But, yeah, so definitely brainwashing pretty much happens already in the first year, which is kind of funny in a sense because I'm not certain how much this will work with Violet because, one, all the attitude, and two, her support group that we're aware of is literally just her sister who was gone already. Her mother sucks. Anyone else was dead. And then you have Dane, which Dane's there.
Although, like, now she has Rhiannon.
Riri. The only other thing that I'll mention, I'm not certain that really pops into anybody's brain, especially their first time reading it through. But the way I wrote it here, I have to mention it because I didn't mean to write it this way in my notes, but I wrote it this way in my notes. I wrote it like Xaden, Violet, and Dane have a love triangle going on, which I don't think that's ever actually a thing. It's like, because Violet and Dane both have a crush sorta on each other, but anytime Xaden shows up, Violet's like, Xaden's handsome. Do you remember it ever actually being like a triangle?
I feel like there's a little bit that happens, but it's like very small where it overlaps. But also, I'm a firm believer that in order to have a love triangle, Dane and Xaden have to be pining over themselves, like over each other as well, just to complete the triangle, or else we just got a love angle. It's a love acute angle.
Hear me out. We don't get too much into it yet. Besides Dane saying Xaden's vicious and his dragon's also vicious and all this stuff. But hear me out. Xaden and Dane, enemies to lovers. Because obviously Xaden's got to be the rule breaker and Dane's the rule follower.
Oh my god. I swear, if my laptop doesn't stop doing this. No, I was saying that I'm here for it because Xaden would put Dane in his fucking place and it would be wonderful.
I need that fanfic. I haven't finished the series to read fanfics yet.
Oh, you gotta read faster. I say as I also haven't read any fanfics, but I've finished the 3 books that are out.
I'll get to it in like 3 years.
Oh, yay. Wow.
It's not going to take us that long.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we're going to start chunking them into bigger chapters. It's just, she writes so much stuff and things at the beginning that you have to take the time to talk about it and like explain some of it. And it's just like, why are you dropping all this stuff on us?
Just wait until you get to the 3rd book.
Oh gosh. This is why I have a character sheet going, is the comments for the 3rd book is like, who are all these people again?
Yeah, it's the first, like, third of it is just information overload and, like, random characters. So your character list is going to be massive.
Because there's already so many characters that I'm like, who are they again? So, fair warning to to anyone who reads further. But yeah, it's just so many people, and she just gives so much information. That's like my one complaint about the author so far. It's just like it's a lot. Like even Violet going through and like lore dumping. I can't even tell you exactly what she lore dumped about besides about the country or provinces nearby, whatever, because it's so irrelevant unless you have the map in front of you and like you're taking notes on the map or something. It's like we're just following Violet and what she does, and it's kind of like, yeah, if you were to just suddenly show up in a world and start reading or whatever, it's kind of what it feels like. And I like it to some extent, and others it's just very jarring. But yeah, so I think that's where most of my notes end for that. Besides, I guess to recap, so I have my cursed pairing where I'm gonna get stoned for is Jack and Violet.
Absolutely not.
Then I have Dane and Xaden.
I'll hear you out on that one.
To be fair, come the future, we'll talk about the future in the book briefly from my first time I read through it. I like Dane and I dislike Dane. I say this like about every character ever. I like him more than I dislike him. The part that I get frustrated with is that he starts sounding like a broken record, and it's like, bro, no means no, move on.
Yeah.
Not going to get into more spoilers than that. But yeah, it's something. And then of course we get into a lot more characters as we go on, and I'll keep track and try and keep track of who's who and why they're there. I'm curious if we ever get show up again, Tara or Naira, who are just briefly mentioned.
They're brought up a little bit, I believe, but I don't know. They also just kind of fade into the background for me.
things becomes just so there's relevancy and there's not relevancy, and she just throws up so much stuff that's not really relevant. Like there's like some like cool like foreshadowing, but she's doing it with like everything. And if everything's foreshadowed, it's too much and ridiculous.
It's a lot of foreshadowing.
Oh my gosh. And of course you have Violet already pondering the whole time going, what's not Violet, what's Xaden's signet? What's his ability? Everybody is like, he's like the head of the fourth wing, and everyone gives him like, what's the word? Berth? Whatever. Room?
Yeah, wide berth.
And so she's like, it's gotta be something.
Which is not wrong. It is, in fact, something.
So we can go ahead and leave that for our viewers, listeners. We can leave that to the listeners to guess if they don't already know. You can probably guess it if you've read enough romantasy.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazily special, but it's always a good one.
Always a good one. Every time.
Which, here's the question. How would that entirely work? Because her mother isn't like the head. She's like, what, second in charge? And the rules are you have to be a volunteer. So if Violet was to go run off to the scribes and be the scribes and be like, no, I didn't volunteer, my mother forced me. Like, could they actually do anything about that?
I doubt it. I don't think they would do anything about it because they'd probably be like, well, that sucks for you. Your name's on the list.
Yeah, because she did pass the first exam thing, the written stuff or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because I know the dragon are like the hierarchy and what they're the bullies of the universe. Let's be straight. They're the bullies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's really funny because they're like, oh yeah, rules are rules and you have to abide by the code and all this. But at the same time, it's like the hierarchy's the hierarchy. Whoever's in charge is in charge. It's interesting because it's like, theoretically, I feel like Violet should be able to go to the scribes and stay in the scribes regardless of what her mother says. Gosh, Jared, stop this.
Yeah, I literally don't know why it's doing this because my laptop is plugged in. Nothing is touching my trackpad. Like, my mouse is unplugged because I kept smacking it. It's just not having it.
Since we're rereading, we know things. So it's also something in hindsight I didn't think about until now. That's really funny. Is her mother controls storms. So it's like, oh, so I wonder what Violet's ability is when she finally gets a dragon.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Huh. It is a little funny.
I was like, how the signets work? I think it's even already mentioned. As it's based on the dragon. They get more into the details and all that, but it's based on the individual person themselves and the dragon. And there's also some foreshadowing already thrown in a little bit with Dane, where Dane was like, yeah, so I have to use my hands, so I'm not security risk, which implies that they've had people who had a similar ability, but they couldn't really control it, and there was security risk. And knowing how this military college is, we can already predict where that goes.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Next time we'll be going over actually the next 4 chapters. Chapter 5, 6, 7, 8. 'Cause I feel like that would be a pretty good lump sum together.
Yeah.
I wonder how much my voice is getting caught.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so bad. I'm just going to blame the weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be chapter 5, 6, 7, 8 is where we're going to go with for next episode. Well, some of our questions we have, of course, is wonder if anything happened that changed the mom's mind. Assume, well, if we ever get answers for that or not. What do we think Violet's signet will be when she gets a dragon? What do we think Xaden's signet is? What Xaden's thinking this entire time, because as far as I'm concerned, I think he's just snickering in his head and watching Violet panic.
He's literally just watching her have an existential crisis over nothing.
Pretty much it for questions. Don't forget to I guess, I don't know, follow us or leave a comment, send an email, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.